What's going on, guys? This is Michael MGF, and today I'll be doing another LEGO Marvel Superheroes Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 set review on the Milano versus the Abilisk, and the set number for this one is 76081. The recommended ages are 7 through 14, and it has piece count of 460, while the price point is $49.99. And oh man, I realize this set is highly controversial, and that a lot of us are going to have differing opinions, and that's totally okay. You might find that my opinion may be the unpopular one throughout the entirety of this review, but that's why I do these reviews, and that is why we have these discussions about these sets, so that we can decide if, in this case, a $50 set is worth picking up or not. And that's why I always appreciate those of you guys who do attempt to have a productive conversation about what I discuss throughout the video down in the comments. It seriously means so much when I see that, instead of just someone watching the video and just literally scanning through to find any of the little and smallest mistakes that I make and just posting those, moving on, or just simply ridiculing me for not having the same opinion. Because if that is what you came here to do, maybe this is not the video for you and you should click off. But I'm going to do my best to express my feelings about this set and what I think should have been done here. And if you do not agree, that's okay. I'd love to hear your opinion down in the comments, because it is just as valid as mine. But there is a lot to cover with this set. This may be a little bit of an extensive review, so without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so first up is our second variation of Star-Lord in this wave. This one featuring the helmet, the return of this helmet. One of my favorite pieces to ever come out of LEGO superheroes in general is this piece right here. It is so perfect for this minifigure and so well done, and I'm so glad to have it back. And LEGO even went ahead and they redid the area surrounding the eyes and the eyes themselves, like the lenses and the red glow coming from them is a new print, and the added detail surrounding them, I think this time around, is great and adds so much more to the front of the helmet. And it was already great to begin with, and LEGO just improved it that much more. So there is that. And if we remove the helmet really quick, I just want to point this out so I don't have to mention it later. The eyebrows on this Star-Lord head got really misprinted this time around. I mean, they're just so offset and uneven, and it only gets worse on the back of the head, the aggressive facial expressions. So man, I feel bad for the person that spends 50 bucks on this set and gets a head like this. Thankfully I have plenty of these. Anyway, the torso is a little interesting, and I'm wondering if, you know, this is a result of LEGO designing things, you know, pretty far out in advance for the release of the movie, because in the trailer we see this chest piece, which, by the way, the torso design is great. That is so awesome. But we have yet to see Star-Lord sporting this chest piece with the jetpack and everything on top of just his regular gray shirt that he usually has underneath his coat or his jacket. So I mean, I don't really know what's going on here, because usually the jacket or the coat come first, and then you have the chest piece and everything on top of that, and the gray shirt isn't exposed in what we have seen so far in the trailers. Maybe you guys have seen something I haven't, and you can let me know down in the comments, but that is just what I, that's what I can take away from this torso design. So yeah, then the pistols that you can see here, Star-Lord's blasters, have returned, and I did mention this in the last review, and it's great to have them back. They're, they're a really great unique piece form, and they're super accurate, and it's great to have them back, just the same as having the helmet back. They're, all three of these are great pieces. So yeah, then the legs, unfortunately, I say unfortunately, but it's really not too big of a deal. They are Hawkeye's legs from Civil War, and those were a great pair of legs, and of course they can serve as, they can serve for multiple purposes, and that's what LEGO has done here, because it really does blend pretty well with the rest of the minifigure, and I really can't complain all that much. It's just a rehash of Hawkeye's legs, and whether it's accurate or not, it definitely does work for the minifigure. So yeah, then the jetpack is just a standard neck brace, 1x1 black plate with some binoculars attached to that. And unfortunately, in the last review I forgot to add on the black plate, so I realized that like yesterday, and that was kind of awkward. Anyway, removing all of it to give you a look at the back of the torso, you can see we do actually have the jetpack printed on there as well, which is definitely kind of odd. So we have like an actual physical jetpack, and then we have it printed underneath as well. And I'm kind of confused by that decision, but at least it's, consistent with Gamora, who you'll see in just a minute. So there is that. And aside from that, that is pretty much it for this variant of Star-Lord, and I think if you take the helmet and give it over to the one from Aisha's Revenge, and maybe even take the legs from this figure too, you'll have a pretty nice Star-Lord figure. Next up, our new Gamora figure is pretty similar to Star-Lord actually. She has the exact same torso, no curves added or anything, which is okay, and that's not that big of a deal. And she even has the same pair of legs, so they are wearing the exact same outfit in this set. But in the trailer that we've seen so far, you know, all the trailers, they're wearing like red outfits when fighting the Abilisk. So again, probably based off concept art. I don't know for sure. Anyway, you can see the katana that she has is the same one that she's always had, but it is in a more like durable plastic, and it's also shinier too, and that may not be a new thing. Maybe Lego's been doing that for a while and I'm just now you know, getting one of these swords to, you know, see it for myself. So there is that. And then also the hairpiece is pretty much exactly the same as it was back in 2014. It's pretty much the same print, which is totally cool. It was, you know, great. It was some great added printing to the hairpiece back then, just same as it is now. And the head is actually new. It's very similar to the original, just ever so slightly altered. You can see this was the original head on the right here, and so Lego has just pretty much updated it a little bit, you know, made a new expression for her mouth. And then if we flip it around to the more aggressive facial expression, you can see they went a little bit more all out on the aggressive mouth design than they did even back in 2014. And I'm not gonna lie, I still kind of prefer the original head over this one, but this definitely does the job and is just as good regardless, and it doesn't really matter. It's a nice new update to the head and makes the figure more unique and stand out a little more from the previous counterparts. So there is that, and that is pretty much it for the new Gamora figure, and there's really not much else to say. Drax the Destroyer is our third minifigure making his return here, and he looks just as good as he did back then with a couple changes. One of those changes is definitely not his daggers, however, so we're just going to go ahead and remove those from the shot so we can get a better look at the rest of the minifigure. And also, before I even talk about the figure, let me just remove the jetpack too. It's exactly the same as Star-Lord's, but Drax does have one as well. So getting that off of the minifigure, you know, torso peg, so that we can talk about the updated head here. The head has all new tattoos on the front. They are updated, more accurate, and they look better. They even gave him a new aggressive facial expression, which is definitely more in line with Drax's personality than the first Drax. And then there you can see on the back of the head the new and improved tattoos there as well, making it more accurate overall. So I really do like those changes that Lego made to Drax's head. However, no changes were made to the torso or the arms, which is totally understandable because there's no reason to update them at all whatsoever. But one thing I do want to point out is that this tattoo on his like left forearm is actually based off of the tattoo that Marcos Besa, the Lego designer of the original Milano, has in real life, and that has been carried over and not changed at all for this Drax as well, which I think is definitely pretty cool. And Drax also has his own unique pair of legs, which I think look great. They're dark blue and they have a really nice belt design, and you even have like this pattern on them as well, and I really like how seamless it is from the thigh to like the knee area. There's no, you know, real noticeable cutoff, and I'm really satisfied with what Lego has done with updating Drax here. They have made what was a great minifigure to begin with into an even better minifigure, even though back then I really wasn't totally sold on the light blue skin tone, or the light bluish gray skin tone, and by the way, that is the official color for Lego, light gray, if you don't know. But I mean, it's grown on me, and Lego's color palette is unfortunately limited, so I guess this is the most accurate option they can go with. That's why I didn't really mention it this time around. But yeah, Drax is back, and I love the changes Lego made. Baby Groot is exclusive in this set, same as he is in the other, which was the Aisha's Revenge, where he had the Ravager costume on and a bit more of a stern facial expression. This one's still good, but I definitely consider this to be the more definitive version of Baby Groot, because, you know, he's out of the costume that he's probably only going to wear for one sequence. This is how he'll look for the majority of the movie, etc., etc. And I also do really like the smile they have going on here. The design is fantastic, especially on the torso. Love the print that they have for his body. And I will echo one thing I mentioned in Aisha's Revenge, that set review. I kind of wish that they took inspiration from their baby micro figure and gave him some more like minifigure looking hands, which can, I should point out one more time, that they can be gripped onto, you know, Lego's actual clip pieces, and just the same as these pegs can, they gave Baby Groot. And I realize some of you guys will be like, oh, come on, he's a tree, you know, he can grow, but I really don't consider that a valid reason for why Lego did, you know, went with pegs. And again, it's totally a nitpick, and it really doesn't take away from the micro figure all that much. This is a great piece and so much better than what I was expecting Lego would do, and it's even better in this set. Nebula is also back in this set, new and improved, as our final minifigure, and one of those improvements I'm so happy with is Lego actually went ahead with this new Nebula figure. They did fix the skin tone problem that we all kind of disliked back in 2014 even. I remember talking about it back then. The skin tone was too dark. Lego used their standard regular blue color for it, but this lighter medium blue that they've used this time around is definitely more accurate and so much better for the minifigure. Now I can actually use the head on my custom minifigure without having to paint the whole damn thing. So that's definitely a plus. But you might notice she also is missing like the black katanas this time around. She is unarmed, but instead she's got a pair of handcuffs because I'm pretty sure they just rescued her from the Sovereign people at this point in the movie. I don't know. That's kind of speculation, but I did hear that somewhere. Anyway, same exact robotic arm. Of course, she did get that replaced clearly. And then also, you'll notice that the torso design is pretty much exactly the same. However, there is one significant difference. That difference being there are tears and rips and gashes all throughout her clothing. And so it is the same design as the original, just with all those different rips and tears added. And I think it's definitely pretty cool. Who the hell knows what causes that in the movie? But you can see that same design change continue onto the back of the torso as well. And then there's also the back of the head, if I didn't already show it by accident. Unfortunately, no leg printing for Nebula, which I think is a little disappointing. I think she could definitely benefit from it because you have a really great and highly detailed minifigure and then just it goes flat. So I mean, kind of a nitpick. I think, 3 years later, it would have been nice to have some leg printing, but at least LEGO improved the skin tone. And they did also give her an aggressive facial expression as well, which is also much more accurate to Nebula because she's not a happy person in the slightest. So, yeah. Also, you get Groot's boombox included with this set. Just figured I would show you that. No idea what this is actually going to serve as doing in the movie, probably distracting the Abilisk, but it is included with the set. Pretty sure I don't mention it later, so I figured I would show you now. Anyway, there's all the minifigures for the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Milano versus the Abilisk, and we're going to go ahead and finally talk about the set itself. Oh boy. Alright, here we go with the new 2017 Milano. What a huge, huge letdown. And I realize it's not a letdown for everyone. I'm fully aware there are plenty of you out there that can accept the set for what it is, and that you're excited even to maybe even pick it up already. And I think that's great. I'm super glad. And I know a lot of you even missed out on the original Milano in 2014, and this is like kind of your second chance, and that's awesome. I mean, so if the problems that I'm about to present to you don't bother you, then by all means, pick this set up. But it's just, in almost every way, to me, this tiny, scaled-down version of the original just adds nothing and is nowhere near better than what we had in 2014 with the original Milano set. And I wish I could compare it to the original. I wish I had it right here, right now, but it's down the street, buried in a storage unit. We've moved twice, my family and I, since 2014, and it's just not accessible. So I apologize for that. I'll do some cutaways maybe to my 2014 review of the original Milano, so you can understand and see why I have this opinion of just absolute disappointment. Because this is just so drastically scaled down that it ruins the set for me. And I will say though, I understand why the LEGO Group has decided to do this. I understand that, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is going to be the biggest movie that Marvel's putting out this year. This is their first year putting out 3, but odds are Guardians is going to make the most. Thor Ragnarok is probably not going to rake in as much box office numbers as Guardians will. And so when the LEGO Group is, maybe in a meeting room or they're deciding on what to do with the next Milano, you got to think of it this way. When people go see the movie, they want everyone to go to their nearest Walmart, Target, whatever store they pick LEGO sets up at, and they don't want them to look at a $70 price point like they did in 2014 and maybe walk away. And I don't know if the original Milano didn't sell well, but clearly the LEGO Group wanted to make a change and make it more accessible to the masses, because that's the only reason I can come to as to why LEGO Group did this. And in my analysis video, I knew it was going to be a lot smaller, but it wasn't until I built it that I was like, wow, it's even worse in real life. I built it so fast that I was like, that was it? I mean, I'll take Star-Lord like I was trying to do a second there and just put him in front. Look at how small that is. And I am fully aware as well that LEGO sets are never to scale to begin with. 80% of the time, LEGO sets aren't ever to scale. Even UCS sets aren't to scale most of the time. But it gets to a point, guys, where for me, it's just not acceptable anymore. And then at the same time, a kid probably won't care. Because, I mean, this is big enough for some decent playability. You've got your stud shooters on the top and you got your bombs on the bottom that can drop, and I'll show you those things in a second. So maybe kids won't really care. And so that's another reason I can understand why the LEGO Group decided to scale it down, because, you know, if you can at least fit a few characters in there, no one's really going to be complaining all that much, right? Except for people like me, who usually tend to have the unpopular opinion. And that's okay. So, the reason that I dislike it, what this has taken away, is you have no interior anymore. You don't have nearly as much detail with the stickers. They don't add anything to the set. You don't have nearly as long or as accurate of a wingspan. And it's so stubby looking compared to the original. And you don't even have the engines on the bottom. I mean, nothing. And I know a lot of you guys will say, oh, this is the Milano from the end of the first Guardians. They made them a new one. If you watch the movie, the guy says, and I forget the character's name, and I also am forgetting the actor's name at the moment, but he says, we tried to get it as close to the original as possible. We salvaged some parts. He did not say it's a little smaller. This is supposed to be as big as the original Milano, and so the LEGO Group, you know, that's not the reason. That's just something I wanted to address because I've seen a lot of people say that. But a few things that I do like about this, I like that the LEGO Group has changed the secondary color to orange. That's more accurate. The original was based off concept art and wasn't accurate in every regard. You have the Milano decal on the front in the form of a sticker. So I'm glad that that's there. And you also have, you know, you have a printed cockpit. That's great. That's it though. Everything else really can't compare to the original and is so drastically scaled down that, like I said, it really ruins it for me. And that's just me. That is just my opinion. So what features do we have on this drastically scaled down version of the Milano? Well, we've got a 4-seater cockpit for a team of about 5-6 people. So what we can do is get Star-Lord in a seated position and make sure his hands are down low because they cannot fit, you know, they really can't go very high. And before I even put anybody inside, you can see we got a couple control panel pieces for Star-Lord on the side on some slopes. You don't have his super cool and fancy chair like you had in the original. And then you have the stereo in the back. And instead of being a decent stereo like we also had in the interior of the original, we just have a black 2x2 slope with a tape sticker on it. That's it. So that's also super disappointing. And we can take Star-Lord, put him in that 2x2 available space, and this might take a second because they don't really fit in there that well. It's a majorly tight fit. So as I try to get him on the 2x2 available space here, you got to make sure his hands are down low. Like I said, there we go. Star-Lord's inside. And so then we can take Gamora, and you got jumper plates for her and Drax. So Gamora can go right there on the right, and then Drax can go right there on the left. And then we also have Nebula, their prisoner at the moment, and then she can squeeze her way in the back. And as you can see, maybe I should have put her in first or second because she's not fitting in. It's such a tight fit, and I really don't want to waste you guys' time and make this review longer than it has to be. So I'm going to try to apply some brute force to get her in there, and she's barely even attached to the studs, if at all. I think yeah, she's not even attaching to the studs. It's such a tight fit. Maybe I should have put her in second. But I mean, it's kind of ridiculous that there has to be such a, you know, a particular order of how you put the figures in. It's so tight and so crammed. But then we can take Baby Groot, and there's no real place for him in there, and you just kind of throw him in. There you go. That's your interior. That is it. There's nothing else. And the original had a much more spacious interior that ran all the way to the back. That's gone. There's nothing else. You have some Technic, if that's exciting to you. And then the main playability features are fine, because you can take the Abilisk and position him. You got your stud shooters on the top. Pew, pew, great. And then for the bottom here, instead of having the big engines that the Milano is known for having underneath, you push down on the Technic piece, bombs drop. So, I mean, it's effective, simplistic, and they sacrifice the engines for that, and I guess that's okay though, because it's playability, and you want to be able to fit, you know, as many features into this thing as possible. You got a sticker up here on this dish. You've got some stickers on this tile and on this slope. You've got more stickers on the front, which are okay. And then the wings here are not nearly as exciting as they used to be. They're small, they're shrunk down, and they don't have the stickers on them either, so there's no detail going on here whatsoever. They're not long enough. And then you look at the back, and the engines are literally just a flag piece, like a, you know, this little flat piece, and you have some dishes. When it used to be like a full-blown 4x4 engine with trans orange plates in the middle. which I think is super, super disappointing. They are all on ball joints, so you do have that posability, and you know, then you also have some stickers on these slopes, on the wings on the back, just for an orange stripe to be had. And then aside from that, that's it. There's nothing else going on here. And it's so disappointing. The original had so much more to offer, and this is more so just a fun and quick little build that really motivates me to, when my family and I go to storage and tear everything apart, to make sure I find the Milano so I can swap it out for this one and put this in the storage unit, because wow. I understand why LEGO did it. More people can buy it. I understand a lot of you guys are excited for this set, and again, that's great. I'm glad this is also a second opportunity for a lot of you to get your own Milano if you missed it in 2014. But for people like me who were around in 2014 to get the original and did, this is not an acceptable product, and I cannot recommend that you pick this set up. And we haven't even talked about the Abilisk yet. He's cool. We'll talk about him in a minute. But that's pretty much it for my opinion on the new Milano, guys. There are some more stickers on these 1x4 blue tiles, by the way, here and here. So there's that. But again, the stickers do nothing for the set. I'd say the Milano decal is really the only one that I am truly, you know, impressed by, which is even, you know, that's even a little bit, you know, too much love, if you ask me, because it's just some font. But 3 years later, and that's it. Like I said, my opinion, let me know what you think down in the comments, but I am so disappointed. So the Abilisk is basically a pink Rapture, and this is like our third tentacle monster in like the past 2 years that we've had. You know, the Raptors are just now being put into a set like this year, but you know what I mean. But no, really, this is a interdimensional monster that Aisha and her sovereign people hire the Guardians to kill in the movie or enlist their help. I don't know. Haven't seen it yet, of course, but LEGO has made it here, and it's pretty interesting, and it actually has more playability than the Milano itself, which is really sad. So the top and bottom of his head, of course, they are on some hinges and can do the chomping motion, and you've got his big teeth. So I mean, the head is definitely pretty cool, and you actually have the eyes. The printed eyes are recycled from that tentacle monster that we got in the Sanctum Sanctorum, so it's great to see those back again and already in use for something else. Then the top of his head, at the top and bottom, actually have like this sticker here for some added skin texture, which I really do like. All those wrinkles within like his clammy pink skin. That's a great touch. And then you also have these little like gash marks in the floor, which is pretty interesting. And those are of course stickers as well, the same design on both. And I'm guessing that maybe he's like kind of conjoined himself with the surrounding area, and he's kind of like popping his head out, and then the Guardians are just opening up the floor. Don't know what's happening here. They've probably blasted the floor, or they used one of the Annulax batteries, because apparently they just have a lot of these, and in my last review they only included one, so I kind of assumed that it was like some kind of treasure that like Aisha was, you know, trying to retrieve from them. But no, there are plenty of these. And they're shown in the box art as be like them like using them against the Abilisk, so you can use the minifigures and, you know, toss them at the Abilisk, so that's a ton of fun. I don't know where that just went, but the main playability feature, though, in all seriousness, is the tentacles and how he can rotate a bit. So the rotation is unfortunately a little limited. It's not 360, and that's okay. It doesn't need to be. You see, you use these Technic wheels to move him around and rotate him to the limits that you're seeing, because those Technic pieces holding the tentacles in are fixed in place and do eventually hit the main base that his head is on. So yeah, but on each tentacle, even though, you know, the rest of the body, you know, he can't rotate a full 360 altogether, the tentacles themselves can. So that's always great. They can rotate a full 360 in 2 places, and so that's, you know, you do have that at least. And so yeah, now you might notice there are studs on the tail end of each of these tentacles, so you can go ahead and you can clip on Gamora. You can just plug all their legs onto one of these studs, and you can make for a pretty great playability sequence. I would find this as a kid a lot more entertaining than anything that Milano has to offer. I'm telling you that right now. And so you can just, again, use the Technic wheels, and you can make for a pretty great little feature here. I mean, that's great for playability, and you know, there's not much else for me to mention. I just think you know, LEGO definitely made the right call with you know, the design of this guy. Yeah, and then you have another gash right here as well on this 1x4 dark bluish gray tile. So definitely some pretty interesting stuff, and that's pretty much it for the entire set. Thank you so much for sitting through that and sitting through my disappointment for the Milano, and I thank you especially if you don't agree and you're still here, because, you know, that means a lot. That means, you know, you are definitely willing to be open to others' opinions, and especially the opinion of a customizer who makes his own minifigs that reviews sets off to the side, because I'm definitely in the minority, and so I'm fully aware of that. And again, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the box, instruction manual, extra pieces, and the comic book. Always forget that, so not in that order. And we're going to wrap up this pretty extensive review. Smaller set, of course, equals a smaller box. At least the graphic is really nice. I think it looks pretty great for the set. And I should mention, I'm totally aware that the Abilisk can, of course, be, you know, you can grip the Anulax batteries onto its tentacles. I'm fully aware that that's a feature before you even post any comments. Anyway, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 logo in the bottom right corner. All the minifigures included in the bottom left. Concept art of the team in the top right. Peter Quill sporting the actual size reference on the top. All the minifigures included as well, right next to him on the left. And then you also have all the features that I just went over, and everything else, more graphics, and advertising for lego.com/Marvel Superheroes, Guardians logo again, and comic book included. So there you go. There is your box. Why LEGO continues to insist on 2 instruction manuals is beyond me, but some people actually prefer that, so that's cool. But anyway, the first book is for the Abilisk, and it comes in at a total of 35 pages, so there is that. Nothing else unless you're into that pirate. And then we also have the second instruction manual, which is much bigger, and then this one comes in at 64 pages, which you can see right there. Some of the graphics from the back of the box that you just saw like literally 2 seconds ago. And then we also have an advertisement for the entire lineup of sets and all their different box arts on this page. That's pretty cool, man. And then other than that, Lego Life. Don't know what that is. So there's that. Instruction manuals. The comic is exactly the same for all 3 sets as it always is, so I'm going to go through this pretty quick. The cover is awesome, and then I'm just going to go ahead and flip through until I get decent lighting so that you can pause and look at the illustrations for yourself, because this review is already so long, and as it is, I'm super glad that you have stuck around this far. So I'm just going to flip through these really quick. God, there are like 2 more pages. Someone help. There we go. There's the ending. Great. Props to the artist. Love the checklist on the background. The renders are awesome. The comic is awesome. I just don't have time. Extra pieces include extra pair of handcuffs, eyeball for the Abilisk, and you also do have an extra katana from Gamora. So that's always, you know, appreciated. But that is also it for this whole review, guys. Thank you once again so much for sticking around for the whole thing, especially if you don't share my opinion. It means so much to me. And we are finally going to conclude this video.
Come on, everyone, let's go!
Wait up!
Sorry, no more room!
Hey! I got a better ride! Alright guys, there you go. That's it for my review on the new Milano versus the Abilisk set. And I realize this has already been long enough as it is, so I'm not going to bother reiterating anything I've already talked about. But if you did enjoy the review, and only if you did, or maybe you found it informative, or if I did ultimately help you in deciding as to whether or not you do plan on picking up the Milano versus the Abilisk, be sure to let me know by dropping this video a like below, because your support seriously means a lot, guys, and it always goes a long way, especially for reviews like this, where there are so many takes and so much editing and so much thought that goes into it. So, yeah, but in these next few weeks, as soon as I review the last Guardian set and possibly do a LEGO Star Wars summer sets analysis video, then I will hopefully be finishing up Nightcrawler and doing the X-Men Apocalypse Showcase as soon as possible, so I can do Logan and possibly X-23. There's a lot that I'm hoping I'll be able to do within these next couple weeks, and it's going to be pretty crazy. Hopefully, you're looking forward to all of that stuff, and if you are, you can totally follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Links to all 3 of those are always down in the description below. Like I always say, you'll see all this stuff over there before you see it here, usually. So that's it, guys. There you go. That's the new Milano. It's a lot smaller, and I'm reiterating what I already talked about. Doing exactly what I said it would. I'm gonna go. Okay. Bye-bye. Pages are 7 through 14, and it has piece count of Abilisk before you coast comments. Yeah, don't coast any comments about that. I don't want to hear it. Stop coasting comments. Figure for this set is pretty of the entire team in the top right. Hey, so Drax, fly, asshole.